Hi, everyone. I am your host, Cindy, and welcome to my next series. This series is an interesting one. I am focusing my topics on finances while dating prematurely, or, even the very first phase of dating, literally the first dates. So, this episode will focus on setting the tone for finances early on in dating. So today's episode is called Money Talks on First Dates, Making Sense of It All. So I want to share about a first date experience that I've encountered involving money, and I think this could really resonate with people. I remember when I went on a date with someone I had already met online. We chatted for a bit. We exchanged numbers. We talked on the phone, and we had really great conversation. And we decided, you know what, let's meet up in person. And so at that point, it was considered somewhat of a date, but I typically like to call those like meetups, like the first couple of times. And then obviously, if we hit it off, then it could be, our first date. But we had such a great conversation in person, and we didn't even talk about what we did for work, which was great because, when we start talking about work, then you start talking about finances and all that stuff, which is great, but then it gets too much into detail. So it was purely just getting to know each other. But when it came time to pay for the check, I thought, you know what, considering this was our first time meeting up, let's just split the bill or let's split the check. But he insisted on paying. So I didn't want to degrade that. So I just said, you know what? Go ahead, it's totally fine. But then when the hostess came back with the check and his payment, she said his card declined. Yep, his card declined. So I thought at that very moment, wow, you take me out for dinner. You can't even make sure that you have enough money to pay. So, of course, I had to pay. And of course, being the nice person that I am, I just said, don't worry about it. It happens. But then I thought for a moment, does it really happen? Does it really? I mean, it got me thinking, should money be discussed prior to meeting up with someone or prior to first dates, or is it offensive? So it's fair to say I never went out with him again, but not because of the situation and not because his card declined. But to me, honestly, it just tells me that he's not really responsible with this money to the extent of ensuring that he had money prior to taking me out on a date or even just meeting up with me. I mean, don't you think that you would check your bank account just to make sure that you have enough money? I mean, I would. I don't know his situation, but I mean, that's just common sense to me. But this kind of goes into the first topic, which is the common first date question: who pays for the date? So, why does this question even matter? To me, I personally think it's about values, expectations, and comfort level. So, this question to me, I feel carries a lot of significance than it may even appear at first glance. You may think who pays for the first date, and it may not seem like a big deal. And to me, it's not just about money. It's literally about just proper etiquette, expectations of that person, and our values. And in some cultures, tradition suggests that one person should pay, often the one who initiated the date or the meetup. But other cultures suggest that the man should always pay. So I don't know. I mean, we're living in the newest century, and I feel like why not go half? But, I'm also traditional in a sense where I would appreciate if a man would pay as well. But also, it could be even power dynamics, right? Like who pays can discreetly hint that at how each person views roles in relationship. So, whether it be equals, caretakers, or partners in this, power dynamics is something that people think about. And, generosity versus independence. Some people even value gestures of generosity while others prioritize independence and equality, which totally can see that as well. But, avoiding the awkwardness, setting clear expectations around payment avoids potential discomfort or even misunderstandings during the date itself. And financial compatibility, while it's just one instance, it can truly reveal insights into the attitudes towards spending, which might even play a role in a long term compatibility. So, me personally, I would prefer the man to pay on the first date because I'm more old school like that and traditional in that sense. But I also know where I stand financially. So, I would typically approach this by communicating upfront before the first date, or even better yet, the first meetup. And this helps me to see how financially independent the man is, and I can kind of gauge on expectations. So even though I know I can support myself as an independent woman, I'd like to think that my man can also support me if he's a potential partner financially to an extent, right? So I want to give some tips for you for navigating this conversation openly and without awkwardness. If you are currently single and you are dating and you don't know how to bring up this conversation. So, first and foremost, just be open and transparent up front. Bring it up early on by saying, "Hey, how should we handle the check later?" This can really set a clear tone, clear expectations, and prevent that awkwardness when the check does come. Also, express your perspective. Share your thoughts honestly and openly, but be kind about it. If you prefer to split the bill, just say, "Hey, I'm happy to share the cost. How do you feel about it?" Keeping an open, kind conversation often sets a tone for healthy communication later down the road. And just be respectful of different views because we're all going to have different views, but just have an understanding what you want in a relationship and what you are looking for. And look out and be observant of those cues. So, my next segment, I want to talk about budgeting while dating. And this is so important, especially if you have financial goals. It's important to know the balance between treating your date, whether you're a man or woman, and respecting your financial boundaries. So, number one, balancing your budgeting habits while dating is quite an art. And I say this because it's about being thoughtful, it's about being generous without stretching yourself too thin. So, here's how you want to kind of strike that balance, right? Have a balance between budgeting, but also being thoughtful, right? So, the first thing you will want to do is set a realistic budget. Decide how much that you can comfortably spend on dating each month without having to compromise the essentials of or savings. Also, be transparent early on. You don't need to disclose your full financial situation, but just maybe suggest affordable activities. And also mix big and small gestures, like maybe treating your date with a small surprise, but with thoughtful gestures like a handwritten note or maybe a playlist that you can send to the person. Also, plan creative dates. There's so many free or even low cost activities like visiting an art gallery or a museum, attending a community event, or even go hiking, have homemade dinner dates. It's about making the date memorable. And also avoid overextending yourself. It's natural to want to impress someone, but spending beyond your means, well, that's really not sustainable. And focus on the connection. It's the thought that really counts here. Be mindful of your date's comfort level too, because some people may feel a little uneasy if they're being treated too often too soon. Yes, that is a thing. So, budgeting doesn't mean it has to be cheap, right? It just means being intentional with where you're taking the person out to. You can still plan an inexpensive but yet memorable date. Planning budget friendly dates doesn't have to mean that you have to sacrifice your romance or your fun. It just requires a little bit more of a thoughtful approach. So, I want to share with you my practical framework for planning dates that don't derail your budget. So, get ready, get a pen and paper ready because this framework, I really feel that I wish I would have used it while dating. It's been a while since I've dated. So, this is super practical. Anybody could adopt this. So, number one, set a budget for each date. Having a clear spending limit will help you to stay within your financial boundaries while still enjoying the experience. And I want to say this too, this isn't even about the dating. I know at the very beginning, um, it's all about like maybe alternate, like taking turns, or it's the honeymoon phase, but this could also apply to couples as well. And in my next couple of episodes, I don't want to say too much, but I kind of go into like those next phases of a relationship all the way up to even being married. So you want to stay tuned for that. But setting a budget for each date, I mean, this is realistic. This is across the board on any relationship. Now, number two, choose value driven activities. Opt for dates that focus on connection over cost, like picnics at the park, hiking, or exploring local trails together. I mean, I don't suggest meeting on the first time, during a hike, which I've done in the past, but you don't want to do that. You want to stay safe. But a couple of, months into dating, you can try hiking or exploring local trails. Visit free exhibits or events. Sometimes there's places that give free admission days. Cooking dinner together at home. If you don't want to invite your person over at your house, that's totally understandable. Don't do that. But there's also events where you can cook together as well, or activities. Or even watching a sunset. Get a blanket, go and watch the sunset somewhere early in the morning, or even, late at night, or, the sunrise or whatever. Those are free. So, number three, I want you to incorporate creativity. So, you can even be unique on some of your dates, maybe a couple of months, later into the relationship of dating, maybe you can host a DIY craft night, maybe try to be crafty and create something. You could even challenge each other to a friendly board game or maybe a trivia match. I mean, those are always fun. And number four, utilize discounts or deals. There's apps called like Groupon. You can look for coupons for restaurants, free admission days, or even promo offers. And number five, plan ahead. Scheduling and researching ahead of time can help you to avoid last minute overspending. Number six, set the tone for future dates. So you want to make sure you suggest money saving plans early on so that it's not assumed that you're okay with going to expensive places. And lastly, always communicate openly. If finances are truly a concern for you, which if you're listening to this, it probably is, share this openly with your partner, but lightly. Don't go into too much details. Don't make it feel like you have total restrictions on dating. So I want to recap here and close this out, but I want to recap on some really key takeaways from this episode. So, number one, who pays for the date? We talked about that. Who pays for the date? It's all about your values, your expectations, and your comfort level. So, make sure that if you truly feel like splitting the cost, then openly communicate that early on before going on the date. And if the man wants to be a gentleman and pay, then let him pay. Also, budgeting while dating doesn't have to be about having restrictions. It's all about making sacrifices where they truly count. You can still enjoy a memorable date, making those memories without breaking the bank. So, planning budget friendly dates can still be fun and memorable, like remember hiking or cooking dinner together. So, I want to leave you with this: your worth is not tied to your wallet. It's all about making a true, genuine connection, being creative, and being authentic. So that's all for my episode. I encourage you visit my website, sign up for my mailing list. I actually will be launching a monthly newsletter very soon, which I'm really excited about because I'm going to cover and give like a preview of all of my episodes and kind of go into some financial tips as well. So sign up for my mailing list. And also, I invite you to follow me on Instagram, Prosperity and Grace, for more tips and updates. And lastly, subscribe to my YouTube channel or Apple Music or Spotify. My podcast automatically uploads to three of those. All of those platforms, so you don't want to miss out on my next episode. It is called Dating and Dollars, Spotting Financial Harmony. And I will be discussing whether financial compatibility is a deal breaker or is it a matchmaker when it comes to dating. So, more to come on that. And until then, take care and God bless.